it's Jen from Windrose Fiber Studio. Today we'll crochet the Falling Leaves Mandala. Our finished project will be attached to a frame and then used as either wall or front door decor. For this project, I'm using 3 skeins or 3 different colors of medium weight size 4 yarn, and I'm assigning them labels A, B, or C, and that'll be the order in which I use this yarn. I also have a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, 12 stitch markers, and I also have a couple metal frame options. You can get just these plain gold round ones. This one is 14 inches, and then I have this green wire one. These are designed for building wreaths. What I like about this one is that the edge is curved, and I actually turn it upside down. I sew my project onto the outside ring, and then I use the curved side to hang it on the wall. We'll start with color A, and by making a magic ring. For round 1, you'll chain 4. This is going to count as your first treble now and throughout. I like to do this chain 4 a little bit on the loose side to ensure that it really gets to the height of a treble crochet. I'm going to go ahead and mark the top stitch of this beginning chain 4 just to make that easy to locate. And now we'll be working 17 trebles into the magic ring. In case this is a new stitch for you, we'll be wrapping our yarn over twice, inserting our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 times. This tutorial is using American terms. I have a link in the description below for an abbreviations and term differences guide. Here we are coming to the end of this first round. I am double checking my count. There should be 18 stitches. That's 17 trebles, and the 18th is that beginning chain 4. I'm going to go ahead and close my magic ring, and then I can join with a slip stitch to the top of our beginning chain. And now we're all set for round 2. On round 2, we're still working with color A. We begin once again with a chain 4. This counts as our first treble, and I'm marking the top of this beginning chain 4. And now we'll work a treble in the same stitch. And to complete round 2, you'll work 2 trebles in each stitch around. You can see I'm taking just a minute to double check my work. When you reach the end of this round, you'll work a slip stitch into the top of the beginning chain 4. And then we'll be finishing off this color. Round 2 will have 36 stitches in all. I like to manage my yarn ends along the way, so I'm stopping here to weave in my beginning tail. Now we're going to take some time and set up round 3. We're going to take our 12 stitch markers. You can attach one anywhere on your ring, then skip 2 stitches and place your next stitch marker. Skip 2 more stitches and your next stitch marker. If you have 2 colors like I do, alternate the colors. This is not essential, and if you don't own stitch markers, you can use scraps of yarn, safety pins, anything that you have on hand. For round 3, we'll be attaching yarn color B to our crochet hook, and we're going to be working into our stitch markers. So join with a slip stitch to any of your stitch markers, and then you're going to chain 4. This is going to count as our first treble. Remember, this is true now and throughout the pattern. And then into this same stitch, you're going to work 5 treble crochets. I'll be referring to groups of trebles like this one as a fan, so this is a 6 treble fan. I just completed my last treble. We can double check and you see we have 6 treble crochets. Then we'll chain 1. Into the blue stitch marker, we're going to make our first leaf. Now, just to help us a little bit visually, I'm going to take this yellow stitch marker that I just removed, trace my way down the post of this marked stitch, and mark the bottom of the same treble crochet. So we have a stitch marker in the top of this stitch and at the bottom of this stitch. We'll be working our leaf into the blue stitch marker, but we'll be anchoring the tip of our leaf to the yellow stitch marker. Okay, all set, here we go. We're going to skip those 2 stitches and into the stitch where the blue stitch marker was placed. We're going to work the following. 2 treble crochets. I just finished the first. Here's the second treble. And then we work a double crochet. And then 2 half double crochets. Here's the first and the second. And now we're going to work a single crochet, 2 half double crochets, a double crochet, and then 2 more treble crochets. Here's the first one and our last treble crochet for a total of 11 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and mark the last treble I made. So we have 11 stitches. To continue on with our leaf, we're going to remove the loop from our hook. And then we're going to insert our hook into the first treble that we made, and then replace that loop and draw it through the loop on our hook. Allow those 11 stitches to puff towards you, and then you're going to chain 2, and now we're going to work around these 11 stitches counterclockwise, and we're going to begin with the last treble made. Single crochet in that stitch, it's the next stitch to your left, and then work 2 single crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. Then single crochet in the next stitch, and in the following stitch we'll be making the tip of our leaf. Start by working a single crochet, and now insert your hook back into that same stitch and also go under the base of the stitch. This is where our yellow stitch marker comes in handy. Yarn over and pull through both of these. You're just making a regular single crochet, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Keep your tension nice and loose here, chain 1, and now you're going to work 2 more single crochets into this same stitch. So all into this stitch are 2 single crochets, chain 1, 2 more single crochets. Continuing our way around, you'll work a single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets in each of the next 3 stitches, and then you'll work a single crochet into the last stitch, slip stitch to the beginning chain 2 space, and then chain 1. You just completed your very first leaf. Great job. I know that was a lot. So what I've done is I've put all of the instructions for how to make a leaf all in one place right here, and I will timestamp it. So in the future, every time you need to make a leaf, you can come back to this point and have all the instructions in one place. Let's take a moment and admire our work. Here's our cute little leaf. You can see that it's overlapping that first fan. If we pull it to the side, you can see how the stitches are worked into the top and the tip is anchored to the bottom, all of one treble crochet. And now we're ready to keep on going with round 3. So for round 3, you're going to repeat the following. You'll skip 2 stitches, and then into that next marked stitch, you'll work a 6 treble fan. Then you'll chain 1, skip 2 stitches, and into the next marked stitch, you'll work a leaf. You can see that I'm marking the bottom of this treble. You might not find this necessary, or it's just kind of helpful to have it there. It's entirely up to you if you want to mark the base of the treble. I'm going to show you how to make a leaf one more time. This time I'm just going to be quiet and let you just watch me work through the process. Here we are at the end of our second leaf. Remember to chain one at the end of the leaf, and now you're ready to head back to the beginning of the repeat. In each of the marked stitches, you'll work a fan, then a leaf, a fan, then a leaf. I'm jumping ahead to the end of this round, where we'll join with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 4. And then we can finish off this color. I always think that the mandala looks so cute after row 3. I imagine putting a flower in the middle and turning it into a beanie. Could be a pretty sweet baby beanie. Let me know in the description below if you'd ever like to see a pattern like that. Okay, I'm getting a little distracted. Let's get back to work and focus. If you look at the back side, what I like to do is I like to weave in my yarn ends as I go, but I never do the most recent row. And that way, if I find a mistake, I can always rip that last row out and fix it before I move on. Speaking of moving on, it's time for round 4. We're going to join color C to our hook. And then we're going to start in the space between any leaf. Remember, there's a chain 1 space on either side of the leaf, so just to the left of any leaf and into that chain space, we're going to join our yarn with a slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 2. This is going to count as our first half double crochet. Now we're going to start our repeating pattern for round 4. Working into the fan, work a front post treble around the next treble. So yarn over twice and then go from front to back around the post of the next treble and work a treble crochet. And then in the space between that treble and the next, work a double crochet. We're going to do this one more time. We're going to work a front post treble crochet around the next treble. And then we're going to work a double crochet between that stitch and the next treble. Now we're going to work a front post treble crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. Then work a double crochet between that treble and the next one, a front post treble around the next stitch, a double crochet in the space between that stitch and the next one, and then a front post treble around the last treble of the fan. Then you'll half double crochet in the chain 1 space before the next leaf and then chain 1. We can take a moment and have a look at our work. So we've expanded our fan. Now we'll be repeating this all the way around. I have written the repeating pattern for round 4 right here all in one place so that it's easy to follow. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you that one more time. So we work that half double crochet before the leaf, then chain 1, and now we're going to work a half double crochet in the chain 1 space on the other side of the leaf. And now let's do this again. We've got a front post treble, a double in the space right between that treble and the next one, then a front post treble in the next stitch, and then a double in the space right after that, and then 2 front post trebles in a row. There's one, and here's the next front post treble. Then we work a double crochet in the space between the last treble and the next one, and then a front post treble in the next stitch, and then a double crochet, and then a front post treble around that last treble crochet of the fan, half double crochet in the chain 1 space before the leaf, and then chain 1 and begin again. Here we are at the very end of round 4. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the top at the beginning chain 2 and finish off color C. Here's one more look at the end of round 4. We can take a minute to manage our yarn ends once again. Our diameter is right about 7 inches or just under 18 centimeters. And now let's take a moment and set up round 5. We're going to be placing a stitch marker in the center of each one of these fans. This will go between the 2 treble crochets in the very center. Make sure you have the same number of stitches on either side. If you like, you can place a yellow stitch marker at the base of this space. From now on, we'll be working our leaves in the spaces between 2 stitches and not into a stitch. So you can see I'm placing my stitch markers in the center of each fan all the way around. For round 5, we're back to working with color A. You're going to join with a slip stitch in the chain space just above any leaf. Chain 4 loosely, this counts as our first treble, and then work 5 more trebles in the same space. So we've just made a 6 treble crochet fan in the space just above a leaf, then chain 1. Carrying on, we're going to make a back post treble around the next double crochet. The double crochets are recessed. You're going to skip the treble crochet and go from back to front around the post of the double crochet and work a treble. Skip the next treble and work another back post treble around the next double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 and work a leaf into this space between the 2 center trebles. I'm speeding things up now, but you can always revisit the making of a leaf in round 3 or go to timestamp 10 minutes and 44 seconds where I've written out the complete directions. I'm slowing down for a sec while I anchor the tip of the leaf. You're going to go through the stitch, and then at the base of the space between these 2 trebles where we have our stitch marker, you're going to go under that, yarn over and pull through both that stitch and the stitch on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 to make that single crochet which anchors our leaf to the fabric before you carry on. We just finished our leaf and worked a chain 1. Next, we're going to work a back post treble around the next 2 double crochets. They're fairly easy to find because they are the recessed stitches between the trebles. So you skip that next treble and work a back post treble around the next double crochet, skip a treble, work a back post treble around the next double crochet, and now we can start over with our repeating pattern. We're going to chain 1 and then work a 6 treble fan into the chain space above the next leaf. After you complete this fan, you'll chain 1 back post treble around the next double crochet 2 times, chain 1, work a leaf into the marked space, chain 1, back post treble around the next double crochet twice, and then you go back to the beginning of the repeat. You'll continue this all the way around. Here I am finishing up round 5. I've just completed the leaf, and now I'm working a back post treble around the next double crochet, then 1 more back post treble around the next double crochet, and now I can just join with a slip stitch to the top of that beginning chain 4 and finish off color A. Here we are 5 rows in. You can see how fast this piece grows with each row. For round 6, we're working with color B. We're going to join with a slip stitch on the left side of any leaf, that chain 1 space, slip stitch, and then chain 2, and this will count as our first half double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet between the next 2 stitches. We'll continue working into our fan by working a front post treble around the next treble, and then you're going to work a double crochet between that treble and the next one. Repeat this by working a front post treble around the next treble, and then work a double crochet between that treble and the next one. Now we've reached the center 2 stitches. You're going to work a front post treble around each of the next 2 stitches. We're also going to plan ahead and place a stitch marker between these 2 trebles. This is the center space where a leaf will go in the next round. Now we're going to continue on by working a double crochet between the last treble and the next one, and then a front post treble around the next treble. Repeat this. And then here's our last front post treble. Now we're going to work a double crochet between these next 2 stitches, and then a half double crochet in the space just before the leaf, chain 1, and then we'll begin this repeat over again. I'm going to work through this one more time. This time I'll be quiet and just let you watch as I follow the repeating pattern for round 6. I hope you're starting to feel comfortable with round 6. I've written all of the instructions for this round in one place for your convenience, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. Here we are. It's time to slip stitch to the top of that beginning chain 2, and then we can finish off this yarn color. Here we are on round 7. It's an odd numbered round, which means more leaves. I hope you're ready to make some more leaves. We're joining color C, and we're going to join with a slip stitch in the chain space above any leaf. You'll chain 4, and then you're going to work 7 trebles in that same space. This will be an 8 treble fan, and when the fan is completed, you'll chain 1. The rest of this round should feel familiar. We're going to do a back post treble around the next double crochet twice. You're going to skip these next 3 stitches, and the double crochets are sort of recessed. Here we go. Here's our first back post treble. Skip the next stitch and work your next back post treble. And then you'll chain 1 and work a leaf. Remember that you're working your leaf into the space between these 2 center trebles, and you'll be anchoring the tip of your leaf at the base between these 2 center trebles. So we just time traveled to the end of the leaf, and I'm chaining 1. And now to finish this repeat, we'll work a back post treble around the next double crochet, another back post treble around the last double crochet. Then you're going to skip those next 3 stitches, chain 1, and work your 8 treble fan into the chain space above the next leaf. So we've started our repeat over again. We're going to follow this all the way around until we get to the end of round 7, where we'll join with a slip stitch to the top of that beginning chain 4. And then we can finish off this color. I want to tell you now that I ended up making a wreath that's about 16 inches in diameter, but if you want to make a smaller one, you can stop at any time. If you're planning to block your piece, allow for the fact that it'll probably stretch out just a little bit. Right now, at the end of round 7, we're measuring at about 11 inches in diameter, and if I wanted a 12-inch wall hanging, I would stop right about now and go ahead and block. Keeping that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and start round 8. I'm joining with color A, and I'm working in that chain 1 space just to the left of any leaf, and then I'm chaining 2. I'm going to double crochet between the next 2 stitches. Now we're working into our 8 treble fan. Work a front post treble around the next treble, double crochet between that treble and the next one, front post treble around the next treble, then double crochet in the space between that last stitch and the next one, front post treble around the next treble, double crochet in that space right after the stitch you just made, and now we're at the center of our fan. So we're doing treble, double, treble, double, treble, double, and now we'll work a front post treble around each of the next 2 stitches. This is the center of the fan, So place a stitch marker between these two front post trebles. And now we'll carry on by working a double crochet between the last treble and the next one, and then a front post treble around the next treble 3 times. Here's our next double. Then we have a treble, a double, and here's our last treble. Now we're going to work a double crochet between the next 2 stitches. These are the back post trebles from the previous round. And then we're going to half double crochet in the chain 1 space just before the next leaf. Chain 1, and now you're back to the beginning of the repeat. Here are all the instructions for round 8 in one convenient place, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. Here's our piece after 8 rounds. After the even rounds, you have a very hexagonal shape, but after the leaf rounds, you have a really cute wavy edge. So you might want to consider ending your piece at the end of an odd numbered round. Now we're headed into round 9. For round 9, we're going back in with our color B. Once again, you're going to join with a slip stitch in the chain space above any leaf. You'll chain 4, and then you work 7 trebles in this same space. So I'm just kind of time traveling to the end. After your 7th treble, chain 1, counting that beginning chain 4. This is an 8 treble fan. Continuing on with round 9, you're going to work a back post treble around the next double crochet 3 times. So these are the recess stitches. You skip the next treble and then go back to front around the post of the next double crochet. The only difference between what we're doing in this row and what we've done previously is that there are now 3 double crochets to work around. After this, you'll chain 1 and you'll work a leaf into the marked stitch. Once you're done with that leaf, you'll chain 1 and then work a back post treble into each of the next 3 double crochets. Now you're back to the top of the repeat for round 9. You'll just continue to work this repeat all the way around. When you reach the end of round 9, you'll join with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 4, and then you'll finish off this color. Here's a look at our mandala at the end of round 9. It's going to take me 2 rulers to measure this. We're getting really close to 14 inches here, which could be a really nice place to stop. That being said, I'm going to carry on with round 10, working with color C, and we'll join with a slip stitch to the left of any leaf, and then we'll chain 2. We're going to work a double crochet between the next 2 stitches, and then we'll repeat this. We're going to work another double crochet between the next 2 stitches. And now we're going to start working into the fan. You're going to work a front post treble around the next treble, and then double crochet between that stitch and the next treble. Repeat this action 2 more times. Now you're going to work a front post treble around each of the next 2 stitches. And you can take a moment to place a stitch marker between these 2 stitches, and this will be where you'll be making your leaf in the next round. Now you're going to work a double crochet between your last treble and the next treble, and then a front post treble around the next treble, and repeat this 2 more times. Next, you're going to work a double crochet between the next 2 stitches twice. And then you're going to work a half double crochet in the chain 1 space just before the next leaf. I kind of do an oopsie here and work a double crochet by mistake. Just letting you know, I did realize that later. Here are all the instructions for round 10, all in one neat place. And when you complete round 10, you've got a shape that looks like this one. I'm going to work one more round so the finish line is in sight. Round 11, we're back with color A. We're going to join with a slip stitch in a chain space above any one of the leaves. We're going to chain 4. This will count as the first treble. And this time we're going to work 9 more trebles into that same space. So for round 11, you're going to have 10 treble crochet fans. After the fan, you chain 1, and then you work a back post treble around the next 3 double crochets. So skip over the next 4 stitches that get you to the first double crochet. You'll work a back post treble around this double crochet and around the next 2. They are the recessed stitches. I'm sorry if I'm starting to sound like a broken record. So I think by round 11 you kind of have this down. I feel like you probably don't even need me anymore. After those 3 back post trebles, you'll chain 1, work a leaf in the marked space. After the leaf, you'll chain 1, work a back post treble around each of the next 3 doubles, and then you'll chain 1 and you'll be back to the beginning of the repeat. All of the directions you need to get through round 11 are right here for you. This is where I'm going to stop at round 11. I love the cute wavy edge. It's taking me 2 rulers to show that we have about 16 inches here, and I think it's going to expand a little bit when I block it. This is my 16-inch wreath frame. It looks like it might be a little small, but I find out very quickly after I block it that it's just about perfect. So my piece grew about 1 inch in blocking, so it's much more like 17 inches in diameter. To block it, I soaked it in water for about 20 minutes and then squeezed out all the excess water and pinned it to a drying mat. I'll link these mats in the description below. I do like the effects of blocking. It kind of just, the leaves still have plenty of texture and even a little bit of curl, but it is sort of helping to control them a little bit. So I'm going to turn my piece over and whip stitch to the frame, and I ended up making a whip stitch around the last orange round right here. And then just to make it a little more secure, I also did a whip stitch round around the other end of the frame. I didn't do anything fancy here. I just literally whipped around the existing rows with the matching color yarn. I attached it to this frame with the curve facing out, so it'll be very easy for me to just hang it from a nail on my front door. Speaking of which, here it is. Now, as I pan down, you'll see that I have a little lime-colored table on my front porch. That's kind of why I chose that crazy color. It is giving much more Halloween than maybe autumn or Thanksgiving. I think it's pretty cute, and it certainly is one of a kind. I hope you enjoy crocheting the Falling Leaves Mandala. There's so many possible color combinations. I think it looks really sweet hanging on the front door, but I also love the idea of this being wall decor. I have also turned this pattern into a throw pillow. If that's something you'd be interested in seeing, let me know in the comments below. For now, I'm going to say goodbye. I post new tutorials every Tuesday. Please come back and see me. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time.